Hello everybody, welcome back to Sailing Madness. In this episode I've been looking forward to sharing a little upgrade with you. It's one that I've been waiting for 3 months. I ordered this upgrade back in December, beginning of December, and we're now at the end of February. Let me just spin the camera around and let me show you how my excitement over the last couple of minutes has turned to disappointment. Okay, as you can see, I'd ordered some brand new cockpit cushions from a company who told me they'd done this boat before and they knew the dimensions. But let me just crawl in. As you can see, first of all, the first cover here doesn't even line up with the cockpit locker. This one here, heaven knows what's happening around there. Of course it's the same on this side, on the port side. And then just take a look at the curved on that, and then the seat there for the helmsman. Clearly these cushions are not for a Bavaria 36. And then when you look from an aerial view, they look even worse. Right, so at this stage I'm not going to name and shame the company because I've not had a chance to call them yet, because I'm going to want to find out how they're going to put this right. But I've paid a lot of money for these and I either want my money back or I want this put in right, and I'm not prepared to wait 3 months for it to happen either. But that's not all. Let me show you something else that I'm not happy with. Okay, so now, as well as having cockpit covers made, for those of you that have been watching for a while now, you may have noticed that my spray dodgers have been missing over the last couple of episodes, and that's because I'd taken them off because they were, shall we say, in need of repair or replacement. Now this is the old one, and on the outside where the boat name is, they're not in bad condition, but on the opposite side, and this is what you see from the cockpit, as you can see they've been held together now for a number of years, clearly, with gaffer tape. So I decided to, at the same time as getting the cockpit cushions done, to replace them as well. Same company. And what's come back is, I think, a product that is clearly not as good quality wise as the one that was taken off. The writing, the boat name, is a lot smaller. You can see the difference in the font size there, and the material just doesn't feel as if it's the quality of the old one. Plus, what I'm most disappointed about is on the old one there was some stitching, and you run the top of the lifeguard rail through the top of this, and it comes out the other side here, whereas on the new ones they've just put a whole load of O-rings, so it's nowhere near as good. So I'm going to try and blot out the company logo, because clearly that's just been visible on them spray dodgers, but I'm going to get in contact with the company because I've paid a lot of money for the spray dodgers and for the cushions, and I'm just not happy with the quality of either. So I'm going to go home, send them an email, send them some video, send them some photos, and see what they're going to do about it. If they refuse to do anything about it, I will name and shame. Right, clearly those cockpit covers have got to go back, so they're back in the car, ready to go home. Before I go, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some cable ties to put one of the spray dodgers up on the side of the boat and see what it looks like. So as you can see, there's gaps at both ends, especially at the aft end. Nice big gap there. And of course the problem is, because I've got no holes in my tow rail, I've got nowhere to secure those eyelets at the bottom. So there you go. That's both the cockpit cushions and the spray dodgers that don't fit. I think the quality of the spray dodgers in particular is really, really poor. So I'm not going to name and shame the company. All the bits are going to go home. I'm going to email them tonight, send them the photos and see what they say. If they give me good customer service, then I don't need to name and shame them on this channel. But if they do give me poor customer service and refuse to help me, trust me, they will be named and shamed. So watch this space. Okay, it's been a couple of days. I'm here at home and I sent off my complaint email with all those photographs. And the good news is I've actually had a reply. Not only a reply on email, but I also got a phone call from their sales manager. And the good news is they're going to be replacing the cockpit cushions free of charge. So what went wrong? Well, some of it was my fault, some of it was theirs. First of all, the spray dodgers. Now, as you saw, my spray dodgers had that lip at the top, that sewn in lip that the top lifeguard rail ran through. And so when I took my old spray dodgers off and wanted new ones, I thought I was going to get a like-for-like replacement. Well, it appears that the design of those spray dodgers was a design specified by a company called Opal Marine. Now, if you're familiar with the UK marine industry, you've probably heard of Opal. Back in the early 2000s, I'm told that they were one of the main importers of Bavaria yachts into the UK. And so that design of spray dodger was their specification. Now, Opal Marine went bust. They're no longer trading. And so when they ceased trading, that design of spray dodger was also ceased. And so what I got as a replacement was the new design that doesn't have the lip at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the boat tomorrow and I'm going to fit the spray dodger on properly, not with cable ties like I did before, but I'm going to use the rope that came with the spray dodgers. I'm going to fit it on properly and see what it looks like, and hopefully I'll be a lot happier with the design. So what about the cockpit cushions? Well, this is where things get a little complicated. During our telephone conversation, the company tell me they are 100% convinced that they sent me the right cockpit cushions for a Bavaria 36. However, when they've looked at the photos I sent them, they think that my boat is a Bavaria 36 cruiser. Now, what the difference is, I don't know, but clearly if there is a difference, the cockpit layout is slightly different, and that's why the cockpit cushions didn't fit. So is my boat a Bavaria 36 or a Bavaria 36 cruiser? Well, when I bought the boat, it came with a whole load of paperwork from the previous owner. And I've gone back and looked over all of that paperwork. And that paperwork goes right back to the day it was commissioned in the UK in 2005. And every single piece of paper just says Bavaria 36. Nowhere at all does it say Bavaria 36 Cruiser. And that's why all this time I thought I had a Bavaria 36. But when you look at the hull of my boat, around the Bavaria logo, it clearly says Bavaria 36 Cruiser. So it looks like my boat is in fact the cruiser version. And that's why the cushions I've got do not fit. But the good news is the company are going to remake me cushions now for a Bavaria 36 Cruiser. And hopefully very, very soon I will have some nice new cockpit cushions that fit the boat. Right, okay, so hopefully that will resolve the problem with the cockpit cushions when I get the new ones, and hopefully that won't be too long. And as I said earlier, I'm going to go back to the boat tomorrow and I'm going to refit them spray dodgers. And hopefully when I refit them properly, I'll like them an awful lot better than what I did last time. But while I'm here waiting at home, I am waiting for another delivery, another upgrade that is on its way to me right now as I speak. I just checked on the tracker and the courier is only 2 drops away. What have I ordered now? What's about to be upgraded? Well, keep watching. You'll find out very soon. Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm alright, yourself?
Yeah.
Everything's in there.
Everything's
in the box.
Yeah.
So where have we got to get to after this?
Well, the boat at the moment is in Port de Norwich.
Oh yeah.
But I'm on the waiting list for Conway.
Okay.
So hopefully, in the next month or so, they'll say I've got a place in Conway. So I'm going to leave it here until
you get into Conway.
Till we get to Conway, and then my wife's friend has got a horse box. So she said that we can borrow that to get it over to the boat.
Seat bag and cushion.
Yeah.
There's your dry bag.
Yeah.
That's the little owner's handbook and everything else.
Right.
Small repair kit. The oars are slot together. Foot pump with gauge on.
Yeah.
So everything's there.
Cool. What pressure do they go up to?
So basically, on the tubes,
Does it say on the tube?
It might do. Yeah. Ready? So you're alright? Do you want to lift it in anywhere?
No, I'll leave it. I'm going to pump it up. I'm going to stick it in the garage. My wife will be home soon, and then she's going to be lifted in.
It's light enough anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
All
much.
right,
Anyway,
thank you for bringing it over.
you're more than welcome.
All right,
Thank you.
cheers. Thank
See
you.
now.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye. I'm sure you've worked out what it is now. It's a new high-field dinghy. Let's see how long this is going to take. So you put the cover on before you put the seat on. That's what you get for not reading the instructions. That's a nice high-field dry bag. I was going to buy one of these. And finally, a set of oars. And the final thing's a nice little wallet and a repair kit. Right, so pleased with that. I'm not going to sit inside because I'll get it muddy. But this is the ultralight 230s. It's the smallest one they do. Now all I've got to do is work out a way of securing it to the boat. Okay, so over the moon that the dinghy has now arrived. I ordered that over a month ago. Been waiting for it all these weeks. Right, so you're probably wondering why I bought a high-field dinghy. They're not the cheapest, but I'm a firm believer that if you buy cheap, you buy twice. From what I've read and what from people have told me is Highfield are the best dinghy brand in the world. So I've gone with what people have recommended, and hopefully it's going to last me for many, many years. I also wanted one with a solid bottom. You can buy cheaper brands that have an inflatable bottom, but the problem is when you drive them up to a rocky or a singly shore, then the chances are you're going to get them punctured fairly quickly. And my plan is to go to Scotland in May and June. I'm going to be using the tender every day to drive it up onto a beach, and I know that when I'm there it would only be a matter of time before I got the thing punctured. So that's why I wanted one with a solid bottom. Now, of course, with a solid bottom comes the extra weight. So my big dilemma now is how I'm going to keep the dinghy on the boat. Now, the easiest way is going to be to fit some davits on the back of the boat and store it on the transom. But the problem is, for me, that's not an option because eventually I want to fit a wind vane there. And I know there's not the room on the back of the boat for a wind vane and a dinghy. So I think the only option for me is to lift it onto the boat with one of the spare halyards and just lash it down in front of the boom. Not ideal, but I'm afraid it is what it is. If you've got any better solutions though, please put them in the box below and let me know. Okay, so after the excitement of the tender being delivered yesterday, back on the boat today to fit them spray dodgers. Let's see what they look like once I've fitted them properly. Right, so the plan is I'm going to do the starboard side first because once I've done that I can take a walk across the bridge and go and have a look from the other side of the dock over there. Here we go. Okay, that's the first one on. Let's put the other one on and then I'll take you over to the other side of the dock. We'll go over the bridge and we'll see what they look like from over there. Right, okay, so I've been over there. I'm not convinced, but I'm going to leave it a couple of days, maybe a week or so, let the creases hang out a little bit and then see what they look like in a week's time or so. I think that's all I can do. But one thing I did notice while I was over there, I think someone's hit my boat. I'm going to have a look at that now. Deal. Somebody's definitely hit this. It's only a scuff mark, but the fender's all scuffed, and so is the side. I'll be having a word with the marina about this. Right, I can't be doing with a scuff mark down the side of my boat, so I've got some polish. Let's see if I can get it off. Yeah, that's coming off. The thing that frightens me when I'm sticking my head over the side of the boat like this is if I catch my ears on the life rail and it flings my glasses off into the water. Then I'll be in trouble because I won't be able to drive home. Right, that's got it off. Give that a few minutes and I'll give it another rub with a clean rag, and it'll be as good as new. Now I would put the camera over the side and show you, but knowing my luck, I'd end up dropping the camera in the water, so I won't do that. You'll have to take my word for it that it looks better. It looks good. There we go. Right, let's go and have a cup of tea. Okay, so I'm back on the boat. It's been about a week, and the good news is the spray dodgers, they look like they're hanging a lot better. The creases that they got when they were being shipped to me have all kind of hung out, and I'm quite pleased now. So I'll show you them in a couple of minutes time, but I'm starting to like them a little bit more. Now, I'm not just back on the boat today to look at spray dodgers. I'm back on the boat to do another upgrade. Let me just turn you around so you can see what's on the table here. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff. So what is all this for, and what is it? Right, well, I've been spending more hard-earned cash. I've bought some solar panels, and I've also bought a wind generator. Now, the solar panels won't get installed for a couple of weeks. They're going to go on a bimini that I've also ordered and is being made as we speak. But the wind generator can be installed, and along with the wind generator, there's a whole load of other electronics that has got to go under the bench seat I'm sitting on now. So let's take the cushions away, let's get to the batteries, and I'll explain as I'm going along exactly what I'm going to be doing. Right, here we are in the battery compartment. Right, so what's in all the boxes? Well, with the solar and with the wind generator, they both come with their own charge controllers. So I'm going to need to find a space to store and secure the controllers. For instance, this one here in this box, that's the controller for the wind generator. And then for the solar, I've got one of these Victron MPPT charge controllers, so that needs to go somewhere. Okay, and so with all these extra inputs going in to charge the batteries, the easiest way of connecting all of them is through a bus bar, and for that I've bought one of these Victron Lynx distributors. So basically what's going to happen is the shore power charge, the alternator charge, both those are already obviously installed on the boat, but along with them the charge from the solar and the charge from the wind generator will all connect to this, and then from this it will go to the batteries. That's the plan. But where's it all going to fit? It's all very tight down here. So my plan is, what I'm going to do is screw all of these to a piece of wood that I have behind me. I'm going to secure the wood onto this area here, and then hopefully we'll have enough room for everything. That's the theory. Now, before we start playing with the new toys, let's try and get the wood in. Let's see how that's going to fit first. Right, so I think the easiest way of seeing if that's going to fit is I'm going to have to disconnect some of the batteries first. I was hoping I could just slide it in, but that ain't going to be possible. Right, so that's the one battery disconnected. There's always been this cable here, and I don't know what it's for. It was only connected to one battery, and I can see it runs to a fuse and then runs under the chart table, but someone's just used kind of like, looks like sort of household flex. God knows what that's powering. What I might do when I put this back on, I'll leave that disconnected and see what doesn't work, and then obviously that will tell me. Right, let's see if I can get that piece of wood behind. Now obviously you don't want to let them touch each other, so they're okay there. Right, so that piece of wood is okay under there. I'm happy with that. How I'm going to secure it to the boat and stop it moving around, I don't know yet, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I think what I need to do now is start putting on the controllers, start screwing them into this. Okay, so I'm going to scrap the idea of using the wood under here. What I'm going to do is all the charge controllers, so for the wind generator and for the solar, I'm going to screw to the wall here and then run the wires down into the battery compartment below. So the Lynx distributor, that's going to go on the floor under here, And I think by spreading everything out a little bit, it means we're going to have slightly longer wire runs, but it's not the end of the world. I think we should be okay. A plan is coming together. Right, okay, I've got everything lined up. What I want to put on the side here, first of all, for the solar panels, the MPPT charge controller, and then between this and the solar panels you have to put one of these breakers, so they're going to go along there. This is the charge controller for the wind turbine, and again, apparently you're not supposed to put any breakers or anything between this and the batteries, or this and the wind turbine, so that's going to go along there. And then this is the display unit for this, so that's going to go on the wall there as well. So I think that is everything sorted. Now let's do the bit I'm dreading. Start drilling some holes. Okay, right, I'm finally making progress. It's taken me a while, but I am getting there. As you can see what I've done so far. Okay, so this is the input here for the solar. So the solar wire is going to come into the isolator. From the isolator it goes into the charge controller, and then from the charge controller it's running down into the battery compartment. For the wind is going to come straight into here, and then this is quite good actually. This has two outputs, and what you can do, you can connect it to two battery banks. So I'm going to connect one to the starter battery and then the other to the house battery, and they all come down now into, just move all that into the battery box. I've just tidied them up there, not connected to anything at the moment. So the next job is to start on the bus bar, which is going to go down here, and then that will distribute all this power into the battery bank. I think what I'm going to do though is, before I start on the bus bar and doing stuff down here, I'm going to put the kettle on and have a cup of tea. Right, well, I've had me cup of tea, and for once I didn't make it. I popped into the Swellies cafe and got a latte takeaway and had some lunch in there as well. And I must say, if you are ever in the marina here at Port to Norwich, you must go and see Eddie and the staff at the Swellies cafe. The food in there is lovely, the coffee's great, highly recommended. Also, while I'm on the subject of recommendations, this is not strictly an upgrade to the boat, but I bought one of these the other day. It's a Milwaukee Hoover. And I tell you what, it's incredible. It is so powerful, isn't it? Now, it's not that expensive either, and this is just the best boat hoover I've ever had. It comes with one of the ones, so you can just do the floor like a normal vacuum cleaner. And the beauty of this is, for me anyway, because I've got the Milwaukee drills and the Milwaukee battery chargers, which is this thing here, the battery for this charges in the same charger that the drills use, so I didn't need to buy any extra chargers and stuff like that. But if you've got a boat and you want a hoover, you can't go wrong with one of these Milwaukee hoovers. They really are superb, very, very powerful. I think they're designed for tradesmen to use in kind of building sites and stuff like that, so well worth the money. Okay, so believe it or not, it's been a week since I last demonstrated how that wonderful Milwaukee Hoover is setting new standards of cleanliness on this boat. And the reason why it's taken me a week to get to this stage is because shortly after I filmed that piece, some of the lads on the boats nearby shouted down and said, "Dave, we're going to the pub for some lunch, do you want to come with us?" So I said, yeah, okay, I'll go for an hour, thinking that I've still got a lot of work to do this afternoon, so I'll just go for one. Anyway, 5 hours later, we're still there in the pub. Or should I say, 5 hours, 5 pints of Guinness, and numerous shots of spiced rum later, we were still in the pub. So needless to say, later on that day, I was in no fit state for doing any more videoing. So I stayed the night on the boat, I did some more work, and then I went home. And then since then, we've had a bit of a snowstorm here in the UK, and so work ground to a halt. The snow has melted, and I'm back on the boat, and I can finally show you exactly what I've been doing. Now, I did do some work the morning after the visit to the pub the night before, but the problem is I had a hangover from hell, and you really didn't want to watch me doing stuff on this boat with a hangover. It wasn't a pretty sight. So let me show you what's been going on, and it's all pretty much done, which is good news. One of the jobs I did when I was rather hungover was I ran these two cables from here to the back of the boat. Now this is the cable that's going to link to the solar panels. It comes in here through the switch into the MPPT controller and then down into the batteries. Here on this side is the wind generator, so the cable for the wind comes in here into the controller, and then there's two outputs as I mentioned earlier on in the video. Battery 1 for the house bank and battery 2 for the starter batteries. Okay, you got the all the information there. It's not reading much at the moment because obviously it's not, well, it is connected, but there's no wind. And then that leads me to the battery bay down here. Now all of those inputs come into this Lynx distributor, then it goes through to the shunt, and then it's all wired into the batteries. Now the only thing I haven't done yet is the Orion DC to DC charger. That's going to go down there somewhere, but I'm not going to need that until I fit the lithium batteries, which is an upgrade that is some way off down the line. So basically it's all in, it's all working. The charger and the solar charger and the wind charger, they come into the Lynx distributor here. This one is spare at the moment, but that's where the DC to DC charge is going to go. And then these two rather big, thick, juicy cables are the cables that come from the already installed inverter charger that was on the boat when I bought it. Okay, so there you go. It's all working, which is rather good. It's dark outside now. I can't show you the wind turbine, but I'm staying on the boat tonight, and I'll show you that in the morning. Right, okay, everybody, it is the next morning, so it's light outside, so I can show you the wind vane in action. I just come up through the companionway, slide around here, and as you can see, there it is behind me. Now there's not a lot of wind here in the marina today, but that's still kicking out a few watts, charging the batteries. Perfect. It was a big struggle running the cables from there under the lazarette, round the head and under the chart table to the battery compartment. Took me 4 or 5 hours. I've also at the same time ran the cable for the solar, and of course when the bimini arrives, the solar panels go on top of the bimini, and then the cabling is already there for the solar panels. So it's been a busy couple of days. Another update to the boat completed. Okay, so that just about does it for today. Thank you so much for your company on this episode. If you have enjoyed it, remember, hit that thumb, give me a like. If you haven't enjoyed this video though, remember you can hit the dislike button, but don't forget you've got to hit that button twice. Also consider subscribing, and if you're feeling really generous, why not become a patron? All the details are in the box below. Now in the next episode, hopefully I'll have an update for you on the saga, the ongoing saga of those cockpit cushions, and I've got some more upgrades coming as well, so more details in the next video in a couple of weeks time. Until then, take care, thanks for watching, see you soon, bye bye.